You've met a woman you genuinely like. Everything seems perfect. She texts you regularly, replies quickly, flirts with you, and keeps the connection alive. It feels effortless, as if you're finally in sync. But then, something shifts. Out of nowhere, she pulls away. The texts slow down, the calls stop, and the warmth you felt from her disappears. You're left confused and wondering, what did I do wrong? This is a moment that tests even the strongest of men. The instinct to panic, overthink, or try to fix things immediately can be overwhelming. However, what most men don't realize is this: the way you handle this situation will either earn her respect or make her lose interest completely. The truth is, most men fail this test. They make critical mistakes that push her further away, often beyond the point of no return. But here's the good news: you don't have to be like them. In this guide, you'll uncover the 7 biggest mistakes men make when a woman pulls away and why these behaviors are guaranteed to repel her. More importantly, you'll learn a simple 2-step strategy to handle her distance with composure, confidence, and stoic clarity. By the end of this, you'll know exactly how to turn this tricky situation into an opportunity to strengthen your own principles and even reignite her interest. So, sit back and let's dive in. Why women pull away. Before diving into the 7 critical mistakes men make, let's address the elephant in the room. Why do women pull away in the first place? Understanding this is the foundation for handling the situation effectively. Women withdrawing isn't always about something you did wrong. Often, it's about testing your response under pressure. This isn't a deliberate, calculated game. It's instinctive, a deeply ingrained behavior that stems from biology. When a woman pulls back, it's often her way of assessing your emotional resilience. Any man can appear confident when he's receiving constant attention and validation. But the true test of character comes when that attention disappears. It's during this withdrawal that your real self is revealed. Are you the strong, grounded man she initially admired? Or do you crumble under the weight of doubt and insecurity? Here's the reality: women are naturally drawn to strength, both emotional and mental. They seek men who can remain calm and composed when the dynamics shift. While it may feel frustrating or even unfair, her pulling away is not a personal attack. It's an opportunity for you to demonstrate your steadiness and principles. Instead of reacting impulsively, it's your time to pause, reflect, and approach the situation with clarity. Now that you understand the psychology behind her behavior, it's time to explore the 7 most common mistakes men make when women pull away and how to avoid them. Let's begin. Mistake number 1: overcontacting. When a woman starts to pull away, the most instinctive reaction for many men is to panic. This panic often manifests as overcontacting, texting her multiple times, calling at odd hours, commenting on her social media posts, or finding excuses to engage with her online. On the surface, it might feel like you're showing her how much you care. But here's the harsh truth. To her, it looks desperate. Overcontacting sends a loud and clear message: you're not in control of your emotions. It tells her that your sense of stability and self-worth relies entirely on her attention. This behavior doesn't come across as love or affection. It screams insecurity. A grounded man doesn't need to flood someone's inbox for reassurance. He knows his value and doesn't let someone's temporary withdrawal dictate his behavior. Let's break this down. Imagine this scenario. A woman you're dating stops responding to your texts as often. You begin overthinking. Did I say something wrong? Did she lose interest? Is she seeing someone else? Driven by these thoughts, you send her multiple texts, trying to gauge her feelings. When she doesn't respond, you call her. Still nothing. So you leave comments on her social media posts, hoping she notices you. Instead of drawing her closer, this only confirms her doubts. She now sees you as emotionally dependent, which is the exact opposite of what she's looking for in a man. Why does this happen? Because overcontacting makes you appear as though you can't function without her validation. Women are naturally drawn to men who project strength, independence, and self-assurance. Overcontacting signals the opposite. It says you're unsettled, reactive, and needy. So what's the solution? The answer lies in restraint. When a woman pulls away, your best response is to give her space. Resist the urge to reach out immediately. Silence can be a powerful tool when used wisely. It allows her to notice your absence, wonder about your composure, and even question her own actions. This creates an emotional shift in the dynamic, one that works in your favor. Remember, a strong man doesn't chase attention, he commands respect. The next time you feel the urge to overcontact, pause. Ask yourself, am I acting out of fear, or am I staying true to my principles? By choosing the latter, you not only maintain your dignity, but also increase the likelihood that she'll return on her own terms. Mistake number 2, confessing your feelings too soon. When a woman begins to pull away, fear of losing her can trigger an impulsive need to fix the situation. Many men believe that pouring out their feelings will somehow win her back, by convincing her of their sincerity or showing how much they care. They think that confessing their feelings, saying something like, "I really like you and I don't want to lose you," will rekindle her interest. Unfortunately, it rarely works that way. Confessing your feelings during her withdrawal often has the opposite effect. To her, it feels like you're trying to force an emotional response. Instead of reigniting the connection, it places unnecessary pressure on her, making her feel cornered or even guilty for not reciprocating. This doesn't build attraction, it builds discomfort. Here's the psychology behind it. Women pull away because they want to evaluate a man's emotional strength. When you confess your feelings in a moment of panic, it signals that you're unable to handle her withdrawal. It reveals a lack of confidence, emotional control, and self-assurance, qualities that are essential for maintaining attraction. What's worse, it shows her that her distance has rattled you, which reinforces her decision to pull back even further. Imagine this. You're dating someone, and suddenly they begin to seem less interested. Instead of maintaining your composure, you call them up and spill your emotions, saying, "I don't know what's happening, but I really care about you, and I want us to work." Now, instead of rekindling the connection, you've made the situation heavier and more complicated. The other person feels burdened by your emotional reaction, and in turn, distances themselves further. So, what should you do instead? Recognize that confessing your feelings is not the answer when someone is pulling away. Attraction is about creating emotional tension, not resolving it prematurely. The more you can hold your ground, stay composed, and allow her space to process her feelings, the more likely she is to reassess her decision to distance herself. In these moments, remember this simple rule: less is more. Instead of chasing her with declarations of love or admiration, focus on reinforcing your own emotional stability. This shows her that you're not seeking validation from her, but are instead confident in your own worth. By doing so, you create an environment where she feels drawn back to you, not because of pressure, but because of genuine intrigue and respect. Mistake number 3, letting anger take over. When a woman pulls away, frustration and anger are natural emotional responses. You might feel betrayed or confused, thinking, "Why is she doing this? I've done everything right." But while anger might feel justified in the moment, acting on it is one of the quickest ways to push her further away. Anger doesn't fix the problem, it only escalates it. Here's what usually happens. When men let anger take over, they react in one of 2 destructive ways. First, they might decide to completely cut her off in retaliation. This includes deleting her number, unfollowing her on social media, or ignoring her attempts to communicate. On the surface, this might feel empowering, but in reality, it's a reaction driven by emotion, not strength. Once the anger subsides, regret often sets in, leading to a desperate attempt to re-establish contact, an act that screams insecurity. The second reaction is equally damaging, issuing an ultimatum. This might look like saying, "If you're not interested, just tell me," or "I'm tired of these games, make up your mind." While this might feel like taking control, it actually reveals the opposite. Women are highly attuned to emotional states, and they can sense when an ultimatum is rooted in frustration rather than genuine confidence. Instead of drawing her closer, this behavior confirms that her withdrawal has affected you deeply, which diminishes her respect for you. Let's put this into perspective. Imagine you're a leader in a high-pressure situation, and someone on your team challenges your authority. A true leader doesn't react emotionally, they maintain composure, assess the situation, and respond with clarity. In relationships, the same principle applies. Anger, when poorly managed, shows a lack of control, something that women instinctively find unattractive. So how should you handle the situation instead? First, recognize your anger for what it is, a temporary emotion that clouds your judgment. Before taking any action, give yourself time to cool off. This might mean stepping back entirely and focusing on other areas of your life. Channel your energy into something productive: exercise, work, or a hobby. These actions reinforce your emotional independence and prevent you from making impulsive decisions you might regret later. Remember, Stoicism teaches us that our reactions are within our control, even if external events are not. When you choose to remain calm and composed, you project an aura of strength and stability. This doesn't just make you more attractive, it helps you maintain your own dignity and self-respect. The next time anger tempts you to act, pause and ask yourself, am I reacting like a man in control of his emotions, or like someone who's been rattled? The answer to that question will guide you toward the right action every time. Mistake number 4, apologizing excessively. When a woman pulls away, many men fall into the trap of overanalyzing their past actions. They replay every conversation, every interaction, wondering, was it something I said? Did I do something wrong? This self-doubt often leads to a dangerous response: excessive apologizing. They believe that by admitting fault or justifying their behavior, they can somehow win her back. Unfortunately, this couldn't be further from the truth. Apologizing unnecessarily or excessively sends a clear signal to her. It tells her that you're insecure and overly dependent on her approval. It shows her that you're willing to take responsibility for things you didn't even do wrong, just to get her attention back. From her perspective, this doesn't come across as considerate or caring. Instead, it makes you look weak and desperate. Think about it. Confidence is one of the most attractive traits a man can have. When you apologize excessively, you're essentially broadcasting that you lack confidence in your own actions. You're second-guessing yourself and putting her on a pedestal, as though her approval is the only thing that matters. This behavior is not only unattractive, it reinforces her decision to pull away. Now let's clarify. There's a time and place for genuine apologies. If you've genuinely hurt someone or made a mistake, owning up to it is a sign of maturity. But apologizing for every little thing, especially when you haven't done anything wrong, is entirely different. It shifts the power dynamic, making her feel like she has the upper hand while you scramble to earn her forgiveness. Here's a scenario to consider. You didn't reply to one of her texts right away because you were busy at work. She starts acting distant, and instead of staying calm, you send her a message saying, "I'm so sorry for not replying sooner. I hope I didn't upset you." What you've done here is reinforce the idea that you're at fault for something trivial. You've elevated her withdrawal into a bigger issue than it needs to be, giving her even more reason to stay distant. So how do you handle this situation? The answer is straightforward. Don't apologize unless it's absolutely necessary. If you haven't done anything wrong, stand by your actions, maintain your composure, and don't feel the need to explain or justify every move you make. This shows her that you're secure in who you are and that your self-worth doesn't hinge on her approval. Stoic principles remind us that we can't control the perceptions of others, only our own actions and responses. Instead of apologizing for things you can't control, focus on what you can: your behavior, your confidence, and your emotional resilience. By doing so, you project strength and self-assurance, qualities that naturally draw people back to you. Mistake number 5, questioning your self-worth. When a woman pulls away, some men take it as a reflection of their own inadequacy. They begin to question themselves, spiraling into thoughts like, "Am I not good enough?" Or, "Maybe it's because I'm not attractive, successful, or interesting enough." This self-critical mindset doesn't just affect your chances with her. It can chip away at your confidence in every aspect of life. This mistake often stems from a deep-rooted fear of rejection. When she pulls away, it triggers insecurities that may have been lying dormant. You start to scrutinize every perceived flaw: your appearance, your career, even your personality. The more you dwell on these thoughts, the more you convince yourself that you're unworthy, not just of her, but of any meaningful connection. This toxic cycle leads to a noticeable drop in self-esteem, which makes you less appealing to her and to other women. Here's why this is so dangerous. Women are naturally drawn to men who exude confidence and self-assurance. When you start questioning your self-worth, you unconsciously project those doubts outward. It shows in your body language, your tone, and your actions. Even if you try to mask it, she can sense that something is off. And once a woman detects this lack of self-belief, it becomes nearly impossible to rebuild her attraction. Imagine this. After a few days of cold behavior from her, you start withdrawing socially. You stop taking care of your appearance, avoid going out, and spend hours dwelling on what went wrong. In a conversation, you might even make self-deprecating comments like, "I guess I'm just not the type of guy women are interested in." These actions don't inspire respect or attraction. They confirm that you've let her distance completely derail your confidence. So, what's the solution? First, you need to remind yourself that her pulling away isn't always about you. People withdraw for countless reasons, many of which have nothing to do with your actions. Instead of internalizing her behavior, focus on what you can control, your mindset and your habits. Practice self-compassion by acknowledging your value and reinforcing your strengths. Surround yourself with activities and people that uplift you, not situations that feed your insecurities. Stoic philosophy teaches us that external events, like someone's withdrawal, are beyond our control. What we can control is how we perceive these events and how we respond. By shifting your focus inward, you reclaim your sense of self-worth. Remember, a man who values himself doesn't crumble when someone else pulls away. He stands tall, knowing that his worth isn't tied to anyone else's approval. The next time doubt creeps in, remind yourself, her actions don't define me. My response does. Mistake number 6. Trying to make her jealous. When faced with a woman pulling away, some men resort to tactics they believe will rekindle her interest, one of the most common being trying to make her jealous. This might involve posting pictures with other women, flaunting a sudden active social life on social media, or casually mentioning other romantic prospects in conversation. The idea is simple. If she sees that other women want you, she'll come running back. However, in reality, this strategy often backfires. Here's why. While jealousy can spark attention in the short term, it rarely builds genuine attraction. Instead of seeing you as a confident, high-value man, she's more likely to interpret your actions as manipulative and immature. Rather than reigniting her interest, you risk pushing her further away by appearing desperate for a reaction. Let's break it down with an example. Imagine you post a picture of yourself at a party, surrounded by women, with the caption, "Having the time of my life." To her, this doesn't communicate strength or independence. It communicates that you're going out of your way to get her attention, which actually reduces your perceived value. If anything, it reinforces her decision to pull away, as it confirms that her absence has affected you deeply. Moreover, women are intuitive. They can usually tell when a man's actions are genuine versus when they're calculated to provoke a response. Trying to make her jealous doesn't show her that you're moving on or thriving without her. It shows her that you're still fixated on her, which is the opposite of what a confident man would do. So, what's the alternative? Focus on genuinely improving your life, not as a performance to make her jealous, but as a way to enhance your own happiness and fulfillment. Invest in your passions, strengthen your social circle, and pursue activities that genuinely bring you joy. When your actions come from a place of authenticity, they naturally exude confidence and self-assurance. This kind of behavior doesn't just attract her back, it attracts people who truly respect and value you. Remember, Stoicism teaches us to act with intention, not reaction. Instead of trying to manipulate someone else's emotions, focus on cultivating your own strength and clarity. The right people will be drawn to you for who you are, not because of the games you play. In the long run, building a meaningful connection based on respect and authenticity is far more rewarding than relying on fleeting tactics like jealousy. Keep your actions aligned with your principles and let the rest take care of itself. Mistake number 7, overanalyzing her actions. When a woman pulls away, many men fall into the trap of overanalyzing every little thing she says or doesn't do. They start obsessing over her last text, replaying conversations in their heads, and reading between the lines of her social media activity. This overthinking often spirals out of control. leading to unnecessary anxiety and worse, reactive decisions that push her even further away. Overanalyzing stems from the desire to understand why she's acting distant, but ironically, it often creates more confusion than clarity. For instance, you might notice that she liked someone else's post, but hasn't replied to your message. Instead of brushing it off, you interpret it as a sign that she's losing interest or seeing someone else. This leads to a flood of questions. Is she ignoring me? Did I say something wrong? Does she even like me anymore? These thoughts pile up, and before you know it, you're trapped in a loop of doubt and frustration. The problem with overanalyzing is that it shifts your focus entirely onto her and away from yourself. You're expending energy trying to decipher her intentions instead of controlling your own reactions. This obsessive behavior often leads to impulsive actions, like sending unnecessary follow-up texts, asking her outright what's going on, or worse, confronting her about things she hasn't even done. To her, this comes across as clingy and insecure, which only confirms her reasons for pulling back. Here's the reality: you'll never fully know why someone pulls away, and that's okay. Trying to decode her every move is not your responsibility, nor is it productive. Women value men who are grounded and self-assured, not those who are consumed by what's happening in someone else's mind. Overanalyzing erodes that image of confidence and makes it harder for her to feel attracted to you again. So what's the solution? Accept the uncertainty. Instead of obsessing over her actions, shift your focus inward. Ask yourself, am I spending too much energy worrying about things I can't control? If the answer is yes, redirect that energy towards something constructive. Hit the gym, dive into a project you're passionate about, or spend time with friends who uplift you. These actions not only improve your mental state, but also project a sense of calm and stability that others find attractive. Stoicism reminds us that we can only control our thoughts, actions, and reactions, not the behaviors or intentions of others. When you let go of the need to understand every detail, you free yourself from unnecessary stress and regain your emotional balance. This, in turn, restores your confidence and helps you approach the situation from a position of strength. Remember, attraction isn't about figuring her out. It's about showing her that you're steady, regardless of what she does. Let your actions speak louder than your thoughts, and let her come to her own conclusions. Now, the two-step strategy to handle when she pulls away. Now that you know the 7 most common mistakes men make, it's time to shift focus. Instead of reacting emotionally or making those mistakes, you need a game plan, a proven strategy to handle her distance with composure and confidence. This two-step approach is designed to help you regain control of the situation, maintain your dignity, and even re-attract her without ever compromising your self-respect. Step 1. Give her space. The first step is simple but often the hardest. Give her the space she's asking for. When a woman pulls away, your initial reaction might be to chase her, question her, or try to fix things. Resist this urge. Understand that her withdrawal doesn't necessarily mean she's lost interest. It could just mean she needs time to process her own emotions or evaluate the relationship. By giving her space, you're showing that you respect her needs and, more importantly, that you're secure enough to not panic when the dynamic shifts. Here's what giving her space looks like in practice. Stop texting or calling her first. Allow her to initiate contact when she's ready. Avoid checking her social media obsessively or reacting to her posts. This includes refraining from liking or commenting on everything she shares. Don't bring up her withdrawal in conversations or try to force a discussion about where things stand. Let the silence work in your favor. Giving her space does more than just create room for her to think. It also shifts the power dynamic back in your favor. When you stop chasing, you become less predictable and more intriguing. She begins to wonder why you're not reacting, and this curiosity often leads her to reach out to you. Most importantly, giving her space allows you to refocus on yourself. Use this time to invest in your own growth. Hit the gym, work on your hobbies, or spend time with friends. When she sees that you're thriving without her constant attention, it signals strength and independence, qualities that naturally draw her back in. Step 2. Spike her emotions. When she returns, Once you've given her the space she needs, something interesting often happens. She reaches out. It might be a simple text like, "Hey, how have you been?" or a casual comment on something you posted. This is her way of testing the waters to see where you stand. At this point, it's crucial not to fall back into old patterns. Instead, your goal is to spike her emotions and re-establish the connection on your terms. Spiking her emotions doesn't mean playing games or manipulating her feelings. It's about creating interactions that are fun, engaging, and emotionally stimulating. When she contacts you, don't immediately dive into heavy topics or act overly eager. Instead, respond calmly and confidently. Keep your tone light and playful. Use humor to create a positive atmosphere. Laughter is one of the quickest ways to rebuild emotional rapport. Share exciting or intriguing updates about your life. This shows her that you've been living fully, even during her absence. For example, if she texts you asking what you've been up to, instead of saying something generic like, "Not much," respond with something intriguing. "I've been planning my next adventure. Might need a co-pilot if you're interested." This keeps the conversation light, fun, and forward-looking. As you interact, focus on building a sense of mystery and excitement. Avoid immediately discussing her withdrawal or your past feelings about it. Instead, let the connection flow naturally. By doing so, you position yourself as a man who is emotionally stable, confident, and worth her attention. The ultimate goal: mutual respect and genuine connection. This two-step strategy isn't just about re-attracting her. It's about maintaining your own self-respect throughout the process. By giving her space, you show that you're secure in who you are. By spiking her emotions, you create a dynamic that draws her back to you naturally. The combination of these actions demonstrates strength, independence, and emotional intelligence, all qualities that are irresistible in the eyes of a woman. Remember, Stoicism teaches us to focus on what we can control and let go of what we can't. You can't control whether she pulls away, but you can control how you respond. With this strategy, you not only handle her distance with grace, but also emerge as a stronger, more confident version of yourself. By now, you've learned that a woman pulling away doesn't have to mean the end of your connection. It's not about her testing you, rejecting you, or losing interest. Instead, it's about how you respond to the situation. Every reaction you choose either builds your value or diminishes it in her eyes, and more importantly, in your own. When you avoid the 7 common mistakes, you break the cycle of panic, overthinking, and emotional dependence. Overcontacting, confessing your feelings out of fear, letting anger take over, apologizing excessively, doubting your self-worth, trying to make her jealous, and overanalyzing her every move only serve to weaken your position. But when you approach her distance with calmness and clarity, you shift the narrative. The two-step strategy of giving her space and spiking her emotions works because it centers on 2 key principles: self-respect and emotional independence. By stepping back when she pulls away, you show her that you are confident and steady, even in the face of uncertainty. When she returns and you engage with her in a light, engaging way, you rebuild attraction on your terms, not out of desperation, but from a position of strength. Ultimately, the goal isn't just to bring her back. It's to bring back a connection that's rooted in mutual respect and authenticity. If she sees that you've maintained your composure, focused on your own growth, and respected her need for space, she will naturally be drawn to you. And if she doesn't return, then you've proven to yourself that your value doesn't depend on her validation. It depends on how you carry yourself. In the end, the Stoic approach to relationships reminds us of this. Control what you can, accept what you can't, and always act with integrity. Letting someone pull away doesn't mean you've lost. It's an opportunity to demonstrate your strength, build your own confidence, and attract what's truly meant for you. Whether she comes back or not, you'll emerge from this situation stronger, wiser, and ready for whatever comes next. A final note. If this resonated with you and you're ready to take control of your relationships and your mindset, make sure to like this video and subscribe to our channel for weekly insights on Stoicism, relationships, and personal growth. Drop a comment below about which mistake you've seen the most or struggled with yourself. We'd love to hear your thoughts. And remember, every challenge is an opportunity to become a better version of yourself. Stay strong, Stay composed, and we'll see you in the next video.